Alright, what's going on YouTube? I know it's pretty late tonight, but I figure I'll go ahead and make a video on this since I figured out what my issue was with the dimmer switch here. First thing y'all want to do, I know there's videos and stuff to look up on YouTube on this, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like T30 Torx, I believe, for this here, for the dash cover, or the dash cover for underneath. You've got two tabs, one here, and you've got a tab over here on that side. Get you a if you've got a pick with a point on it, you can take and slide that on the edge of this in here and pry out, or a small flathead screwdriver. I done it with a small flathead screwdriver. This one here has kind of got a little notch cut out on it, but you want to take that off. I believe there's T30 Torx, one here and one here on that side, and if I'm not mistaken, you have one there, and one right underneath there. When you take 5 of those screws out, this is going to drop down. Make sure you put your hand up here to brace it when you take out the last when you start taking out the last 2 screws, because this is going to actually drop. What I would do is I'd start down here first. Take those out first, and then do these. Just make sure you got your hand propped up there. Take this off. Then you got this fuse plate cover that goes all the way across. When all this drops down, there's I believe there's 3 clips under here. Get you probably like flathead screwdriver or a pair of needle nose pliers to squeeze those clips, and then you can pull this off. Be careful not to break the clips, or the plastic piece that this goes into, because sometimes they may be a little bit dry rotted or something, you know, because over the years and stuff they get cracked and dry rotted and they'll break. But when you remove this from this, because this is automatically going to drop down too, if y'all see that way back there in the back, right behind the gas pedal, you want to take that wing nut off. Take the wing nut off and move this panel here off to the side. And then one thing is that I done while I'm underneath the dash, there are 2 rods that go along the steering column into the high and low beam switch underneath. The best way I found to find that is to wiggle your dimmer switch, and you'll see that rod move back and forth, and it hooks into the back of the high beam and low beam switch underneath, which is located on the top of the steering column, or the little bit to the left top of the steering column, give or take. And there's 2 bolts on top of that dimmer switch, or not the dimmer switch, but the high low beam switch. There's 2 bolts. I used a 5/16 socket extension and a ratchet, and I used a 8mm wrench for the front top bolt. I loosen them up. Do not take them completely out, because it is a pain in the butt to probably get them back in. It is a tight fit under here and everything, so be careful that you do not remove the bolts completely. Just loosen them up. You want to slide that switch this way. Once you slide it this way, tighten your bolts down. I would go ahead and actually show you, but like I said, it's getting late and I don't really feel like pulling all this down. But you will see it. If you move this, you'll see the bar move, or the rod move to that to that switch down there. Once you move it back, tighten them up, and then your dimmer switch should work. Hell, I may have to go back in there and tighten them up or readjust it. Oh, there it goes. Now see it, now it's working. So if y'all look up here, I got both of my headlights working now. High beam, low beam. High beam, low beam. And as y'all see, both of the headlights are working. Another thing too, I want to also touch on, and what I'm actually going to do, is I did use a little bit of WD-40 on this, on both of the lights. This one here is working fine. This one still sticks a little bit, so I have to turn the knob to loosen it, so this one actually will raise. What I'm gonna probably end up doing is I'm gonna take a little bit of grease, maybe, I don't know, probably wheel bearing grease, and put down in there on the working parts on the rods that this here, the light sits on. That will probably solve that issue. And if I was you, when you get ready to go up underneath the dash to that low and high beam switch, what I would do is get you probably a little bit of electric grease or some type of grease. Don't put a whole lot, but just put a little bit, and figure out where that switch is moving. When you see that switch moving, I would put a little bit of grease in that area to help it keep from sticking, because I noticed that mine does stick a little bit. So now it ain't gonna want to do it, but I did it that time. I've got a real light click, heavy click, light click, heavy click. So what I may do is I may go back under this dash and put a little bit of grease where that switch where that little switch moves in and out of that high and low beam switch, and that should actually help that issue. I still ain't figured that out yet, but on the shifter, but that'll get to another day. But I just kind of wanted to touch bases on that real quick tonight and show y'all that is actually the issue. So you don't have to replace the dimmer switch at all. It's just the high and low beam switch under the dash. But anyway, guys, that is it for tonight, and I'll be making more videos on this car once I start making more progress on it. But I'll see y'all later. All right, God bless, have a good night.